Our first guest tonight, he has one of the most recognizable faces in the business. Equally, he has one of the most inimitable of voices. Happily, in recent years, he has chosen to make his home here, and so from time to time, he's able to break from his big screen activities to make forays onto the Irish stage, which he'll be doing shortly at the Gate Theatre in Dublin. Will you welcome, please, Mr. John Hurt? Hello, John. You're very welcome.
Hello, Pat.
Nice to have you back on the show again.
It's great to see you again. Good to see what we're just listening to the people we've just been listening to. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
You said you feel half Irish.
Well, I am. Yes. Yes. Well, I guess I'm half Irish. If my father and my grandmother are pretty well Irish, then I must be half Irish.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's more a feeling, isn't it, than a genealogical fact.
I think it is, yes, it is, yes. I mean, I've been coming here since 1964 on a regular basis. And then it didn't surprise me at all when I had children, I suppose, that I should come and have them here. Yeah.
Right. And you've lived happily ever after.
And I lived happily ever after.
All right.
Yes.
I want to go back, though, John, because we've talked about a lot of your current activities, anytime you've been on, movies you've made, and so on. But I often wondered what it was about your family that prompted a career as an actor. Was there anything in the blood?
Well, my father was a Church of England clergyman, and I've always said that is same business, different department.
Was he a performer? I mean, in the pulpit?
He was a good performer, I might say. Yes, he was a very good preacher. A very good preacher. Short, very abrupt, clear, clean, all of that, yes.
Yeah. Do what I tell you or you go to hell.
No, not at all. You see, that's such a Catholic thinking. No, not at all. He was just quite straightforward. Yeah, straightforward.
So that's where maybe the thespian ambition came from, watching your father perform. Did you get on well with him?
Now, there's a difficult question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we did get on. We got on quite well. You know, how do people get on with their parents? It's very difficult, isn't it? It's always a difficult one to say that. Yes, I think we got on okay, but I don't think that was one of the major relationships that I remember in my life.
With your dad. But perhaps of the time, parents were not necessarily as lovey-dovey as parents today are with their children. I mean, children were seen and not heard.
There's a whole sort of American thing, isn't there now? Oh my goodness, you've got to be able to, you've got to do this, you've got to be in touch, you've got to be this, you've got to be that, and so on. You've got to be, that's the way you've got to be.
Yeah, you've got to be in touch with your feelings when you didn't know you had any. That sort of thing.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not sure that that's really the case, is it? You know, I think that...
you went off to school. Were you dispatched to boarding school?
I was dispatched to boarding school at the age of 7.5, 8, yes.
Could you imagine that happening to a child of yours today?
I would,
I mean...
I don't even know if my children are watching, but I mean, if they were watching, I think they would not agree that would be a very good idea. But when I was sent to school, that was the way things were. That's how you did things.
How did you get on? I mean, were you popular? Were you one of the cleverest? Were you the class clown?
I certainly wasn't one of the cleverest. I was possibly one of the class clowns, yes. I entertained.
You entertained?
I entertained all the time when I was at school, yeah. But I certainly wasn't one of the cleverest, no.
Did you have formal acting training, or did you kind of drift in, as many people do, into the business?
No, I had formal acting. I did. I had formal acting training, but that came about in a very peculiar way altogether. I was at art school in London because, look, let me put it this way. My father didn't consider that acting was a way to go at all. Not because he didn't like it. He loved it. He loved. They adored theatre, but he felt that I should have something which was much more secure than that. So whatever made him think that being in the painting world would be more secure than the acting world, I can't imagine. But at that time, I suppose I could have become a teacher, and therefore that would have been more respectable, and that would have been more solid, and so on. So that's the way it went. And but I was in London, knocking around London, not knowing what to do, and I came across a couple of Australian girls, and one was called Dinah Snow and the other was called Robin Rogers, and they took me under their wing. They were working in a Wimpy bar at the time, which is one of those sort of cardboard
precursor of the
Big Mac. Yes, exactly. And then they were hopeless. And they took pity on me, and they eventually did invite me to some sort of student party that they had, and I went to it, and it was one of those, where the cigarettes always finish up in the cheese, and it's a desperate party. But anyway, I started mucking about, and they said, you should be an actor, which is all I needed to hear. So
you needed somebody to have faith in you.
Yeah. So I said, oh, well, wonderful, what do I do about that? And I had no idea. But they were, I have to say that these two girls they had come back with Lucilio's Spanish dance band from Australia. So they were learning to be Spanish dancers at the same time as they were making their living by working during the day, and they were also doing things at night by working in the Wimpy bar and so on. And they were getting Preludin across the bar at the pharmacist. Preludin, I might say, was pure speed.
This is just to keep them going, keep them awake.
Going.
Yeah.
And so they were going, and I mean they were going for 23 hours a day. And they looked after me, and they decided that they'd go and get the forms necessary
for RADA.
For RADA, yes. And so they went and they got them.
I mean,
and they did them.
the rest, as they say, is history.
And the rest is history, yes. It's a pity we can't talk about it in detail, isn't it?
No, because we take all night, and we don't have all night to go into that end of things, because you became a successful actor, obviously not overnight, but the parts that you've selected have been, the ones I remember at any rate, have been absolutely fantastic. I mean, has it been luck, or are you very discerning when you pick the parts that you've decided to play, whether it's Midnight Express, a cameo in Alien, they're all very memorable, Elephant Man?
Well, look, put it this way. Beckett said, it's not enough to die, one has to be forgotten.
You actually met the great man, did you not, Sam Beckett?
I met him once. I mean, it is a once that I remember with enormous. I look back on it with very happily. It was in the pub next door to the Royal Court when he was in 1964, and he was doing, I think, at that time, Waiting for Godot. And I walked into the pub, and at that time, it's changed since, but the shafts of light were going right through it. And it caught this man at the end. And he was the only other person in the pub. And it was on a Saturday or Sunday evening, I can't remember. And I went up, so I went over to talk to him. And I suddenly realized that this very imposing person was reading the racing page of the Evening Standard. And this was Samuel Beckett.
And this was Samuel Beckett. A shy man, I'm told he was.
Yeah. And it was so extraordinary.
I've been told that...
To meet this great intellectual who's reading the racing page of the Evening Standard.
And you've played...